We are inching closer to football. It's 10 days. Whoa, 10 days away from the first football game ever to be played in Brazil, which means it's 9 to the kickoff of the season. But we're looking at you today, Sao Paulo. The Eagles, the Packers, they kick things off next Friday in Sao Paulo, Brazil. This is fantastic. A lot of which is because the league is entering to a new country, and it's all fun and games. But also it's fantastic because we are talking Eagles. And how do we look away from what happened? A little exercise for us all at the table. How do we look away from the collapse that happened to the Eagles last season? How do you convince yourself that the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles will be different? And how do you need to see it transpire on the field, Manti, for the first time against the Packers in Sao Paulo?
Well, I think there's an identity shift that they're going through right now. They have a new offensive coordinator. They have a new defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio. And back in 2017, Vic Fangio and the Chicago Bears defense was the #1 scoring defense in the NFL. And so things are heading and trending in the right direction. I just think who they're playing with the Green Bay Packers, where they were going at the end of the season, was in a different place than where the Eagles were going. The Eagles kind of slowed a little bit towards the end of last year, whereas the Packers, they started to pick up pace and started to get that momentum. And all they did this offseason was add to that, add a Josh Jacobs, and they paid their Jordan Love, they paid their quarterback. So I'm really excited about this game, first and foremost, because football is finally back. Mm-hmm. But as far as the Eagles are concerned, I think there's a lot of things that they're having to go through right now. They have Saquon now, which I'm excited to see. But there's so many different moving parts as far as coordinators, where it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of fit the puzzle.
You say that with differently than anyone else says. Like, well, the Eagles have Saquon now. You're saying they have Saquon now, but that's not enough of a fix.
Yeah, I think it's and this is coming from somebody who, again, I'm big in fantasy football, right? I had DeAndre Swift back there, and they still had the tush push, and I'm like, give the ball to the running back, So now that they have a new offensive coordinator, are they still going to do the tush push? Is it still going to be the kind of RPO offense that we've been accustomed to seeing for the past couple of years? So I'm interested to see how that dynamic happens. It's hard to have a head coach who has an offensive mind kind of give up those keys entirely to a new offense coordinator. So as far as that dynamic is concerned, it's going to be interesting to see how that meshes.
The tush-push existence is interesting because the anchor of the tush-push changed as well at the center position for the Eagles. So we'll see if Cam Jurgens can pick that up.
Yeah, he's going to have to pick it up. I gave him a new nickname, Quad Squad, too, because they got, Saquon. But, for me, I forgive what the Eagles did last year. And I'm going to give this to the Eagle fans. This is something that, I've learned in life is forgiveness. You have to forgive. What is forgiveness? It's giving up the hope that the past could be any different. You can't go back to 2023 and say, I wish it was different. I wish you would have finished the last season a lot better. It's over. It's done with. It's cool. It happened. And you know what happens with scars? You know what happens with defeat? You learn from them. You get better. You talked about the fact that they've got, hand over the keys, new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the dynamic of what this offense can be and the imagination of what this offense can be when you got a stud in Saquon Barkley. You got a stud quarterback that you can do so much with. That's dope as hell. And then you've got AJ, and then you've got all the other receivers. They go out defensively. They go out and draft Kenyon Mitchell. There's so much around this defense and offense that makes me believe that they're going to be so much better. I mean, I think a lot of people are sleeping on them because of what happened. But don't forget how they started off. So we know they've got the pieces. We know they've got everything they need. It's like buying a brand new car that is fast and it's got everything you want in it. And then somehow on the back end of the trip, it starts to break down. It doesn't mean the car is a piece of trash. You take it to the mechanic, you go fix it up, they find out what the pieces are broken, they fix it, and boom, that car is good.
I like that. I think the challenge, the challenge for me is you have Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
Right. So to your new car analogy, it's like it's Nick Sirianni's car, and it's like your wife is in the passenger seat and she's telling you how to drive the car. So is he going to allow Kellen Moore to do what Kellen Moore has done where he's been. So that's the thing about me. You have the pieces, but how is that dynamic going to happen between Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore?
Listen, that Eagles car at the end of last season was like Will Ferrell's Prius from the other guys. I mean, it was disgusting how they found it. Dirty Mike and the boys had a party. I mean, it's like it was not just like we ran a flat. The car could not run. But I'm going to try to stay positive. We've been talking a lot this morning about music from 20, 25 years ago. There was an album that Beck put out, and the whole album was just a breakup album. It's just a miserably depressing album. And the chorus of the most popular song was Beck saying, "I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of fighting." I'm tired of fighting with the Eagles, too. I have real, genuine love for the Eagles stemming back years and years and years. But I just can't do this anymore. So I'm trying to find a way to really get excited about this year. I'm not there yet. It's like we're full silent treatment. Maybe we agree to meet for coffee, and they're going to show up, and they're going to say all the reasons they've changed, and they're different now. I look at Saquon or Kellen Moore as like, all right, you got a new haircut and some new clothes. Like, are you the same person, though, inside? Are you going to make the same mistakes? I know you accessorized yourself differently, but are we going to go back to the same stuff? And I have to say this about Saquon. I really like him as a guy and a player. We've been waiting for 5 years for him to be a superstar in this league. Not a star, a superstar. Saquon Barkley coming to Philly, isn't exactly like the Golden Gophers or the Spartans coming to Happy Valley 6 years ago. I don't know if that's the same guy. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see him as this franchise-changing player. He's a good running back that we've waited a long time for. But the other thing is, guys, now we go out on our first date and we decide to get back together, and it's a very, very strange date. They're against the Packers in another hemisphere of this planet. So I always give week one a pass because the results are very strange to begin with. But if the Eagles lose 31-20 to the Packers in Brazil, it's not exactly like you can get a real judge on who they're going to be this year. It's a strange matchup, everything about it. Week 2 is home at the Link on Monday Night Football against the Falcons. That's our real date to say, we should get back together. We should have some makeup, or you've completely changed. If you lose to Kirk Cousins and the Link and all that, guys, I don't know if I can come back. And I am tired of fighting, but I can't lie to the Eagles. I love them too much to be disingenuous with them. They went to a dark place where none of us could follow last year. I hope they come back, but you have to show me. Empty words. You got to show me.
Well, inherently, Kyle, I feel like you're anticipating this to happen in Brazil to the Eagles. What if it flipped around? What if it was 27-3 and they just bully the Packers in a different country? Would you feel better about this at this point?
I'd feel fine, but again, that game is going to be so intoxicated in so many ways. We've never done this before. We're going to talk a lot about it next week. I just don't know what to expect from that game with the travel and the locale and the energy, and it's just going to be bizarre. The week 2 games are the prove-alls for Jalen Hurts, for the Eagles, for the Packers. That game is going to be so fun and so strange. But even if the Eagles destroy the Packers, they'll be really excited. Do not come home and lose to Kirk Cousins at the Link. It's a week 2 prove it for me. It's just, again, Jamie, after a big breakup, one little fun date where we have a couple drinks and there's some incidental body contact and some of our old jokes come up. We're not getting married again. It's that second date you got to show me that will really have some meaningful connection.
Don't just get